Hey guys, my name is Ethan, this is Carberra, and welcome to the series where I teach you how to build a game in Python. Today we are actually talking about the first thing we need to do to start building the game. We're doing the main menu today. So we're going to be utilizing the UI elements that we built last time, and we're going to be building, a little menu with a background, a title, a play button, and a quit button. It's quite a simple little menu, but it's quite a nice little one as well, and of course you could do your own additions to that once you know kind of the basics. Of course, if you find the video helpful at any point, then consider liking to let me know and subscribing so you don't miss out on future videos in the series. But yeah, with that out of the way, let's get into it. Before we get into the topic of today's video, there is a few things that I want to talk about. So the first of which is that I've updated the assets. Most of them are here now. I think the only one we're missing at this point is the actual in-game music. So if you're keeping up with the assets used in this series, if we're using the assets used in this series, then you'll need to go and re-download those. The second thing is something that someone pointed out to me in the comments of one of the videos. I'm not sure if this is something new in Pygame 2. I think it might be because I really don't remember this being a thing. It only affects the client.py file at the moment, but we can just import Pygame as PG, and then we can use the constants here. So pg.quit, pg.keydown, and pg.mousebuttondown all work. So if I just quickly run this, you'll see everything works as expected, and if we hit the button at the top, then it all works fine. So yeah, I just wanted to point that out. And the final thing I want to say before we get into this video is just a little prerequisite. So we're going to be doing a lot of stuff with UI. If you skipped the video about creating base classes for UI elements, you'll need to go back to that and do all this, because we're not going to be handling all this. I talked about a lot of stuff that we're going to be using in this video, so it is very much a prerequisite for those of you that haven't watched that. But today we're going to be creating the actual menu to our game. So we're going to do the menu first, and then we're going to go into the game. I just feel like that's the easier way to do things. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but it's knowledge you can take forward, and then when you build your own game, if you want to build the game first, then go for it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into our scenes. So this is where we're going to be spending most of the video. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go up to the top and define a dunder all variable. Now we're doing this because we want to do, in the init, we have this wildcard import here. And this variable essentially defines which objects or variables or constants or whatever we want to import when we import everything. So we don't want to just import scene, but we do want to import all the individual scenes. So we can do, menu scene here for now and leave it with a trailing comma. And then we can add new scenes to here, and then we don't have to bother going to the init.py. If you prefer, you can just import them through here. That's fine as well. I'm just doing it this way to show you that it is a possibility that you can do. We are going to need to import Pygame as PG, and we're going to need to import Snek while we're here. So you come down to the bottom here, and then we can do class menu class. Menu scene, and then that imports from scene. And then we want to do our slots, and we want to actually take the scene dot slots, so the already existing slots, and we need to add them. We need to add a background, title, play button, quit button, and then also buttons. I'll explain each of these individual variables when we get into them. I'm not 100% sure if you need to add them to scene.slots. I think it may work without it, but in my testing I found that it didn't transfer the slots over, but it sort of maybe works sometimes. I don't really know how this all works. If anyone wants to do any experimentation and let me know if this bit is actually needed, then feel free and let me know in the comments. But I'm just doing it for now, just in case this is the way you're supposed to do it, because I know for sure this way does work. I'm not 100% sure the other way does, so I'm just playing it safe. So now that we've done it, we can do our self, and then we need to pass the clients, or rather the init function. We're not just doing the self. And then we need to initialize the scene with the client, so this will do everything up here, initialize all that for us. And then we want to set the background equals snek.sprite, and we are sending it as a sprite. I didn't really see a need to create a separate background class for backgrounds, so we're just setting it as a sprite. PG image.load, and then we want assets / backgrounds / menu, and this is a JPG. Of course, if you want to use a different background, then you'll want to actually use that in here. And then we want to .convert. We're not going to do .convert alpha because there isn't any alpha, so there's no point. And then we're just going to place it 0, 0. This is 720p, so obviously, yeah, if you want a bigger background, you have to scale it. There are ways of scaling in Pygame, but I'm not gonna bother with that. I don't want to go into huge amounts of detail about absolutely everything, otherwise we're going to be here for literally years. But you can look it up if you're curious. And then we want to actually get the title. So this is going to be just a text. As I said in the previous video, the plus symbol is like a little sun in this font. I don't really know why, but it is. So we're going to be using it for some nice aesthetics, and we're going to be calling it Snek. And then we're going to have that as Snek.window width divided by 2. We're just going to leave it in the center. Snek.window height divided by 2. If you've got odd dimensions on either your width or your height, you'll need to do a double slash, but considering that you shouldn't really have that anyway, that's fine. And also it's times 0.4 for this. We don't want to center it exactly. We want to center it vertically but not horizontally because we want to put stuff under it. We want that 100 point font, and we want to align that to the center. We are almost running out of room, but not quite. Self.play button. So this is actually going to be a button. So Snek.text button. And I am actually going to bring this down to a new line, otherwise I'm going to run out of room. So we're going to do self.client.start game, which is something that doesn't exist at the moment, but we're going to be defining later. And then we're going to set text as play game. And we're going to put it again as Snek window width divided by 2. And then we're going to do Snek, not send, dot window height times by 0.55. Set that size equals 50. And then align equals center. And then we're going to do pretty much the same for the quit button. So we're just going to copy paste. There's no point in getting it all down differently. And then we want to do self.client.stop. Now stop already does exist, so we don't need to worry about that. And then we just give this quit, and then it's just 0.65, and I think everything's fine. And then we also want to do self.buttons equals self.play button, self.quit button, just to make the event handling a little bit easier. It's just nicer to have a little bit of a collection there. Speaking of the event handling, that's actually the next thing we need to do. So we need to come down here, and I think that's the right indentation level. Yes, it is. We need to do handle events, and we need to pass self and events. So in here we could do for event in events, and an if event dot type double equals mouse motion. So this is where we're going to be handling, the hovering aspect. So for button in self dot buttons, this is why we had the collection. You could just create it here, but it's slightly faster to do it. Well, especially as it's every single time the mouse moves, it's going to be iterating through this list. It is going to be faster to just have the collection there already. And then if button dot is under mouse event dot pos, then we want to do button dot on hover. And although this is a little bit annoying, we do actually want to do events.remove event. After every single time an event is triggered, this just means that when we go back into the client, the event handler there has less to do. We don't want to be iterating through the entire event queue twice if there's quite a lot of stuff to do. So once we processed it, we want to remove it from the queue. And if, otherwise, if it's, if button dot is hovering, so if we're not under the mouse but it was under the mouse in the previous frame, then we want to trigger the on unhover thing, and then again we want to do events dot remove event. Otherwise, if the event dot type double equals mouse button down, and again for button in self.buttons, if button dot is under mouse event.pause, then we want to trigger the button dot on click and then we don't pass anything in there, and then events.remove event. There is probably a slightly more graceful, elegant way to do that, but you know, that just covers, it's a functionality we're worried about right now. So then we want to do the update, and we just want to pass it because we don't actually need to do any updates in this scene. And then we want to draw everything, so we have the self, and then self.window.blit, self.background, of course self.window provided to us by the actual the base class or the parent class. And then for I in self.title, and then all elements in self.buttons. We want to do self.window.blit UI because we did create that separate method just to handle text because it was easier, and just handle the I. So for item in all that stuff. So this is our scene. I just want to quickly re-explain this. I'm not sure if I explained it well enough. So the first element in the text button is a function. So when the button is clicked, this function gets run. So in the case of the quit, it stops. So I can actually probably show that off. It'll probably be a little easier to understand. Oh, wait. We actually need to go back into the client before doing anything. I thought I could hold it off, but no. So we're going to have to go into the client before I can shut it off. First things first, we need to get rid of all this because we don't need it anymore. And then we need to set the actual scene itself. So self.scene equals snec.menu scene self, and then we need to do down here we need to do self.scene.update. Now, even though our menu scene doesn't have any updates to do, some other scenes will. So this basically, you know, in the update we do all the calculations, we do all the moving of the sprites, etc., and then we do the draw later. So we actually do the draw down here, self.scene.draw, and that draws all the stuff in the scene. Yeah, and then we have the flip and everything. And then, you know, I might as well bring down the start game here. So we're just going to kind of do a placeholder for now because we don't have everything we need to actually begin the game. We're just going to do a self.window.clear and a pg.display.flip because this is what we'll need when we actually do it. And then we'll have an extra line here that changes the scene, but we're not going to do that quite yet. So that should run now. Self.window is not defined. Scene's line number 16. Why is that happening? Oh yeah, because this is client.window. Oops. There we go. Oh, that's not in the right place at all. How awfully strange. I don't know what's happened, but as you can see, the background is rendered, the title is rendered. But I'm not entirely sure why the text is rendered in the wrong place. Have I put that in? Oh, I see. Because this is window height we want, and not window width. Can I just isolate those? There we go. So height, obviously the width is a lot bigger. So now, there we go. Unfortunately, the hovering is not working, or the clicking either. Okay, so it's nothing in the scene. It's just something I forgot to put in the client. So we need to do events. So we actually need to pass the events over to the scene. So events equals self.scene.handle events. So basically we're passing our original list of events to the scene, and then it's passing any unhandled events back out to the client to then deal with. So we can run that again, and mouse motion is not defined because in my plan I have done a wildcard import, and I haven't done that here. I've got to remember about that. So now it should work. There we go. If we run over a button, there we go. So our buttons now have a hover. They move slightly, which is a bit annoying, but I'm not going to fix that. And if we hit quit, it'll quit the game for us. There we go. We have a perfectly functioning menu. And then actually, if we hit the play game, I believe just nothing happens at the moment. Yeah. I don't know why it doesn't actually display. It appears to try to, and then it well, I suppose because the scene doesn't switch, so it then, you know, redraws everything. That actually makes a lot more sense. You can see the suns that I was talking about, little smiley suns. I thought they were fun, so I left them in. But yeah, as I said in the UI video, you can have any degree of thing here. So you can make the text change, or you can make it change position, or you can make it bold, or you can make it bigger. You know, there are a number of things you can actually do. And now that you've seen it in action, you're probably in a better stead to do it. So it'll be kind of in this on hover. My fans are spilled up. The on hover, the on hover, that sort of thing. So you can now go back and change these to if you want to get some different hover effects. But yeah, that's everything I wanted to talk about in this video. Of course, if you have any questions, then feel free to leave them in the comments below, or you can join the Discord server using the link in the description. I would like to thank my patrons on screen now for being so amazing and as awesome as they are. £1 a month you can be on the screen as well. And I will see you next time, where we talk about actually drawing sprites. So we're going to be drawing the sprites, we're going to be doing stuff with the apple. So we're going to be drawing and we're going to be teleporting the apple around the place, ready for the game. So it's actually going to be our first little bit of interactivity we're going to have. So I'll see you for that.